Welcome back to another season of Bucks and the Frank. Glad to have you with me on this journey. Let's get started. This hunt takes place in the fall of 2023. We hunted from the 10th to the 18th, and this is the last half of the season for the November hunt in the Frank Church Wilderness. We decided that we would hunt the last half of the season so that we could take advantage of more snow, better buck movement, and hopefully find some bigger bucks in the process. Sometimes life gets in the way, and on this season, Jeremy and Kenny both had other obligations that kept them from going on this hunt. So on this hunt, there's just three of us: Derek, CR, and myself. I've been asked several times over the years what the optimum group size is for going on a hunt like this. The truth is, there's really no right or wrong answer to this question. A smaller group of 2 to 3 people is usually more nimble. You're able to cover some really good ground. You can divide gear up between packs, and then you have help packing meat when the time is needed. If you get more than 3 people, typically you end up splitting off into groups of 2 anyway. One advantage to that is that you can divide and conquer. You can cover multiple canyons at the same time and then communicate the results of your hunt. If you cram too many guys into the same camp at one time, within a couple of days you'll pretty well have that area hunted out and it'll be time to move on anyway. So a better approach is to set up on a couple of ridges adjacent to each other. That way you can cover a couple of canyons on either side of the ridge you're on, but have double coverage on the canyon that's between you. Now, splitting up isn't always feasible, and according to your hunt, may not even be an option. And I'll tell you, the times that we've camped together in bigger groups have been an awful lot of fun, and there's definitely nothing wrong with that approach. When we touched down here at this airstrip, we knew exactly where we wanted to go right off the bat. And it was a place we hadn't been to yet, but looked really good according to our e-scouting.
Where do you guys want out?
Just a bit.
So what lake activities do they do on Monterey? Just fish?
You want out here or go down right here?
Sometimes things don't always work out as planned. We had a destination a long ways from where we ended up stopping. But while we were taking a break, we ended up seeing some deer and wanted to get a little closer look at what was going on.
Spotted some deer. See, I put the spotting scope on it, and there's a couple of those in a fawn, and now a 4-point showing up. Yeah, it's probably a sweet spot. Shoot that fucking coon, and all we have to do is fucking look for greens.
How far is it?
368 yards. We can go set up right here on this flat spot, and you can shoot him right here and right here. They're going bottom. CR.
You feel comfortable your gun's on?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
But it would probably be fun just to like.
That's what I think. It's gonna be close.
Oh, he's skylining for me.
That's what?
He's skylining for me.
You video?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he didn't skyline for very long. We're gonna try and go get a better look at this buck. CR has been chosen to be the designated shooter on this occasion. We're getting around the back side of the ridge to gain some elevation and do it out of view. So we're having to walk away from this deer for a while. A lot of airplane traffic. Fuckers. Headed right for where the other deer were. CR's on the chase. Might be easier for you and I to go up. But CR's way down there now. It is his deal. So just follow him. I think if we're going to participate in the same hunt, or just go right up here and kind of take a shortcut and like head him off. Okay. We haven't fun yet. Oh yeah. Yeah, this is good. Down there. Hey. You see horns? No. Just went out of sight. Matt.
Yep.
Matt. Matt. There he goes. Oh.
Matt. Nice shot, CR. Fuck yeah. Yes, dude. Got a board. That's a nice buck. Nice work. Yes. Keep on rolling.
Oh, right by that tree. Woo!
Good work, CR.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
What is it with you and fucking first aid bucks, dude?
I think I got all that on film, but it was pretty shaky.
That was pretty sick, dude.
But he's piled up right there.
I think I broke some antler on that fall. Did you hear that crack? Well, that was quick. Thanks, dude. Thanks for being here, guys. That was fucking. That's him, dude.
Yeah. That is. That's
I can't believe it worked out like that, dude. I thought he was fucking below us the whole time. I'm like, well, we might as well check this out. You had it dialed, Brett.
well.
Yeah, that's a nice buck, dude.
Okay. Just sneaking up through those rocks was what, staying out of that sandy stuff.
Yep.
Just,
You guys see where my casing went?
That didn't take long.
yeah.
We're eating meat tonight, boys. Yeah, dude.
You ruined our plans. Now we can't go give it the onion
Yeah.
and just burn up out of this country.
Whatever, dude. That thing's getting hung up down there, and we just gotta go fucking right up the canyon now.
I'm proud of you, CR.
Yeah.
I do think that's a very respectable buck.
Yeah. I think we'd have probably, one of us would be regretting it.
Yeah, one of us would have been like, yeah, that one, it was a mistake to let him go.
Yes, boys. I'm so stoked. Dude, now we gotta focus on big bucks.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm stoked.
I think if we had just sat there and got a good look at him, we'd have been even more impressed.
Sick. He's a nice buck, dude. That's a gorgeous.
Yeah, I think that's one to be proud of, CR.
That's a nice buck, Sierra.
Yeah.
Glad you shot it.
I am quite proud of you.
Is that fresh as broke there?
Yeah, I'm gonna go back. I think I know right where it
Oh, yeah, you called that out. Heard it. That's
a good buck, dude. I'm
that's
shooting a buck
everything
like that every year.
you would want coming to the Frank, especially after
day.
a couple of days of getting hammered hard. You'd sure want to shoot that if
God,
we
he's a
went.
stinky son of a bitch.
Brush his mouth off a little bit. Looks like he's It's a nice buck.
Yeah,
Really.
it's a beautiful buck.
He's got good width on him.
Another first
Thanks
day
for being
buck.
here, guys. This is
Yeah.
so cool. Thank you guys, dude.
You bet. It would sure have been a shame not to have one of us shoot this. Just as well been you. Ooh, he's stinky. Ooh,
Stinky son.
jeez.
Well, I got my knife and everything down at the bottom.
This should not be a hard pack out.
No.
We're just going to slide his ass right down.
Keep him as a package.
Keep him.
We're not even in camp yet. This is sweet.
Yeah, this like really, I guess, makes us have to commit to the lower end of this drainage, at least for tonight. Or we could just go take care of this deer and then hike to wherever.
All night.
No, this was a great way to kick off the trip. That is what you come here for. This is the pack out. You earned it, CR. You earned it.
I glassed
They're,
the camp down there.
oh, really? Sorry, guys. Wonder if they'd seen this buck. There it is. This is probably the most gentle Frank has ever been to us in killing a deer.
Yeah. For sure. Not gonna say we didn't earn it though.
Yeah.
No, that was a fucking bad, kick-ass hunt, guys. That was so fun. That was like what you dream about doing every time.
Yeah. But we should at least go check that out and get a closer look.
The next morning, we got right to work looking for a big buck, and we found a pretty decent one right here before we bedded down for the day. Derek and I were both looking for something a little bit bigger, so we put this buck on the back burner.
You want to shoot him, Derek? Well, we've spent some time looking at some deer over here. Right in there somewhere. Okay, I think that's him.
By covering a relatively short distance the day before, by shooting CR's buck, it turns out that we ended up sharing this drainage with 5 other camps. Knowing that we were basically surrounded on all sides, we gave this canyon a good solid effort this day.
His herd of does are bedded same place as they were a few hours ago, so that's backup plan. There's 3 does. They all took off that way. I didn't see any bugs. Okay. Did you see Derek? He must have got distracted. See how I picked up his shed. We just came from the spring around that corner.
While we were busy picking up these antlers, we were also wasting valuable daylight, and as a result, we weren't able to make a play on that buck before it got dark.
Not a bad buck. Okay. There's CR with his. How cool is that?
We gave this canyon one final look the morning of the 12th, and then we headed for new country.
Well, my pack made it safely across. Eric's pack next. CR's pack.
We gave this buck a good look over, but we just couldn't convince ourselves that this is the one that we wanted to put our tags on, so we kept on looking. In this day and age when antler hunting is so popular and no shed is left behind, it's surprising to find a place where the sheds really do get left behind.
CR gets to pick up his elk shed. Glad I don't have to pack it. Oh, this is just a picnic. He's not even gonna pick it up. There it is. Alright, CR. Are you gonna pack that thing out of here?
Yeah, I think so. It's not broken.
It's like an old bull.
Lots of character. Oh, it looks real good there. Alright, I am so glad. Now you get to pack both of them out, CR.
Yeah, that'd be a nice one to find.
Yeah. He's cool. He's got a lot of character.
While we were exploring, we came across this old spike camp, and it had a pile of old antlers laying around it too. We spotted some deer down in this timbered draw, and we gave them a good look over. Found a small buck, but we were waiting for something a little nicer, so we kept on looking. After a while, the wind switched and blew our scent down into the canyon, sent these deer up over the ridge. No bigger bucks were with them, and we continued the search. It's pretty much any ram, so that would be legal. No, he's pretty young.
Oh, they almost butted heads. Come on.
He thinks he's king of the mountain.
Get in that water, bitch.
What's up, buddy? Oh, they're such cool creatures, dude.
Yeah. Wonder when the last time they came to get water was. To get there, but it's worth the stay. And all those sheep are playing around right above the hot springs. We spent 4 days in this neck of the woods, covering as much country as we could, a lot of it with the glass. We saw a lot of deer and quite a few bucks, but we never could turn up something that was that next level big. One of the biggest keys to shooting a big buck is being able to let the little ones walk. That's easier said than done a lot of times. But when we were going through this country, we were pretty convinced that if we held out, we'd find that next level of buck, that one that we'd been looking for. One of the main benefits of holding out for a big buck is being able to go cover some country in search of one. Every day we spent out here was an adventure. I wouldn't trade it for the world, and I certainly wouldn't trade it for a small buck. The Frank Church River of No Return Wilderness is jam-packed with old history. Old homesteads and farm equipment, old cabins and old relics. And this is just the recent history. Arrowheads and petroglyphs take the history of this place back a lot further. I would say back further than anybody really knows. My lens painting cloth has now become a tissue paper.
You think gators are really necessary on a day like today?
No.
I don't think so either. I think they're nice when it's cold out because they give you a little extra. I do like the buckles on these.
You want to shoot him? Okay. I guess I should.
We did see a smaller buck in this group, and I was getting ready to shoot it out of obligation, and fortunately for everybody involved, he got away. It was the second to the last day of the season, and we decided that we would hunt some territory that we had hunted the year before. It was a little closer to the airstrip and would allow us the flexibility we needed to get meat and everything back to the airstrip in time. We also chose this spot because we had hunted out most of the places accessible from this airstrip, and being later in the season, we had hoped that a bigger buck had moved down into this country to take the place in the herds of does. On the last day of the season, we went back to where we had first hunted, looking for that buck that we had put on the back burner. The buck we were looking for wasn't around anymore, but there was a 3x3 in the same group of does that looked just right for a last day buck. Due to me being unprepared, and the fact that we were on day 8 of this hunt, I didn't have any more memory left on the memory cards I had with me. So everything that we have left is all from cell phone footage only. With all the rut activity that had taken place in this little pocket, this smaller buck was just beside himself and had no concern whatsoever for us humans being around. He was searching for that hot doe. Even though this was the last day of the season and I had a deer on the ground 100 yards away, Derek was unwilling to punch his tag on this little buck. Derek hunted around for a while I broke down my buck. Then we got loaded up and headed for the airstrip. We made it back just in time for CR to point out a 4-point buck that had joined a group of does just 350 yards away from where our camp was at the airstrip.
I don't know if this door got shut all the way. Just give it. Yeah, it's shut. It's just leaky. Okay, because I can see daylight. Yeah, that's how these old bastards are. Hey, thanks for sticking with me. Fantastic hunt, fantastic adventure. Spent all 8 days out there looking for a shooter buck. In the end, we took home a couple last day bucks. Even though I could have shot a nicer buck earlier on in the hunt, not disappointed in my decision. The adventure was worth it. Uh, obviously Derek could have shot that smaller buck and he chose not to. That wasn't worth it for him. But the one standing near the edge of the airstrip, well, that was just a little too tempting. And I certainly don't blame Derek for that one. Anyway, 2 last day bucks, 1 first day buck. Great adventure in between. CR is just a shed horn spotting machine, which I'm grateful for because I didn't want to have to pack those antlers out. And my goodness, I have never been to a place where when you find antlers, you go, nope, I ain't packing that out. And just a hillside covered in antlers that is literally just not worth packing out. Some antlers are just so remote that that's where they stay. And so on day 2 of this hunt, we saw a pretty decent buck. Uh, he wasn't a monster by any means, but in a lot of respects, he was a nice buck. That evening, we were going to make a play on that buck and get a closer look. We probably would have shot him if we'd have done that, but we got distracted picking up antlers and checking out other country, looking for different bucks. The next morning, he wasn't right where we thought he would be, and he wasn't really what we wanted at that time. We kind of thought we could find better, so we packed up and left. As it turns out, that buck ended up at the airstrip with some other hunter's tag on it. There was another instance in the 2021 season that I passed on a buck that ended up at the airstrip. On the 2020 season, the buck that Jeremy shot, other hunters had looked that deer over and they decided that that wasn't the buck that they wanted. So he was a little bit, kind of in a gnarly spot. You had to really go fetch him. But bottom line is, other people had the opportunity to shoot that buck. They didn't. Jeremy decided that he wanted him. We made the play. Jeremy shot it. In the 2022 season, CR and Kenny both shot bucks that other hunters had laid eyes on. In fact, I laid eyes on CR's buck the day before he shot it. Now, what this means to you is if you decide that you're going to hunt the Frank in November, you have to recognize that there's a lot of pressure, a lot of hunters, and if you see a buck that you might want to take, that might be your only opportunity to take him. If you put him on the back burner and just assume that nobody else is going to see that buck and nobody else is going to have to make that same decision that you're making on whether or not to shoot it, in most cases somebody else is going to get the opportunity to look that buck over and they're going to take it if they want it. We kind of talked about, a little bit of strategy for maybe covering more ground if you have a bigger group, or camping together. If, man, a lot of fun camping together. Can't argue with that approach. A lot of camaraderie. It really amps things up, and a lot of people, kind of feed on that energy, and that's not to be discounted when it comes to a hunting trip like this. That high energy that other people can feed off of, or you can feed off of other people's energy, that success that happens like that can really drive some additional success. But there's advantages to dividing and conquering, and there's advantages to staying together. And ultimately, that's kind of a group decision that needs to be made. But at least you have a couple of options and some ideas to play around with. And on the 2021 season, we started out in separate groups, but when one group was tagged out, we joined up, and it kind of made sense for us to be in a group that whole time on the second half of the hunt. All right, I wanted to point out one other thing. I haven't really talked about calibers and firearms and that kind of stuff. That's a rabbit hole that we could go down for days and never. It's kind of like politics. You can argue about it for days on end, bust out all kinds of facts and statistics, and never come to any conclusive results or ideas. But I will say, CR was shooting a 338 Win Mag, and when he shot that deer, it was dead in his tracks. There have been two other times when I've been standing next to somebody, both of those while I was guiding, where they shot a deer with a 338 Win Mag, and both times that deer was literally dead in its tracks. I'm a big fan of high performance, big caliber guns. When it really boils down to it, performance matters for the amount of time that you shoot, for the amount of time that you spend shooting that gun, the amount of powder that you burn, the number of days that you go to the range. Now, if you're a competition shooter, you're going to be in another category, and you're probably going to have a unique gun for that. But as a regular Joe Schmo hunter, for the number of times you actually pull that trigger, the projectile in that cartridge that you're shooting is one of the most critically important aspects of all of your hunting gear. I mean, right next to your boots, there's just 1,000 things that a guy can stuff into his pack and spend his money on. But I'll tell you what, boots, you got to have a good set of boots, good footwear. And number two, whatever it is doing you're killing, whether it's your broadhead, the bullet, uh, that right there is not an area where you want to skimp and cheap out. Cheap ammo when hunting, that is a good way to have a heartbreaking experience by losing an animal, or having it not effectively kill the animal and it runs off. Uh, Even a fiasco where you end up having to shoot the dang thing 5 or 6 times. I mean, none of those are good, fun experiences. I personally I know I'm probably going to piss some people off here, but I think 30 caliber or bigger is really where it's at. You can't argue with the performance of those bigger caliber projectiles and the energy they carry when they hit. Now, I'm not going to go into that rabbit hole, and I certainly don't want to argue with somebody about this. If you happen to have, a 7 millimeter or a 6.5 or whatever it is, and that's your gun and you're comfortable with it, and that's what you've always hunted and it's been effective in the past, by all means use it. I don't care. I really don't. In my opinion, when it comes to the projectile you're shooting, the cartridge that you're shooting, it doesn't hurt to go bigger. I'm not saying a 50 BMG is the right way to go. But what I am saying is that 30 caliber, 338 caliber, definitely nothing wrong with those. And that's personally the avenue that I go, because when I pull the trigger on that critter, I want absolute, unarguable performance. I want that animal dead in its tracks. Currently, I shoot a 300 Remington Ultramag, and that is how that gun performs. 9 out of 10 times, it is dead in its tracks, just the way I want it. So hopefully that sheds a little bit of light in that area. Hang with me. This journey is just getting started. Even though we just finished up with season 5 of Bucks in the Frank, next week I'm going to do a big recap on everything that I learned in the Frank. Not everything, the biggest things that I learned, and what I wish I would have known when I first started, and what I think would be most beneficial for you to know. That is all going to come out next week, the recap. And for those who would like to get a little more in depth, or maybe you decide that you would like to hunt the Frank or a place that's like it, and you would like some cutting edge tips and tactics that will help you put yourself ahead of the competition out there, I'd be more than happy to break those down for you and tailor them specific to your hunting style, specific to your hunt. And all you got to do is just reach out to the email below, and I would be happy to answer some basic questions, get to know you a little bit. And I usually start out by giving a lot of free information long before you ever uh, get to where you have to commit to booking my services as a hunting coach. However, that is what I am, that is what I do. And so, yes, for those of you that think that that would be a good investment, absolutely. I will break it right down to the very nuts and bolts, and help you cut years of learning curve off of your adventure, help you succeed, and help you to get in there and be effective with your time. Otherwise, please enjoy the free learnings that I just post for everybody. If you know somebody that you think would benefit from it, feel free to share it with them. That is a great way that you can help me, and also help those that maybe could use a little extra learning in this category. So, and finally, I will mention the elephant in the room. My camera running skills definitely need some improvement. I have not been very good at getting these kill shots on film, and somebody just needs to put a lock on the zoom button, and then maybe we can at least have some distant view of the kill shot. But yeah, golly. Anyway, I have repented, and I will do better, and I will provide you with better footage and entertainment in the future. Hope that you have a great week, and look forward to seeing you on the next journey.